Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Write or Die Show. I know it's so crazy because I'm not using my regular beginning. It's weird. You know why? Because my laptop wasn't working, and now I'm on my iPad, and I have no idea how to use it. So here we are. So with us today, we have Sue Day. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for being here, and despite all the technical difficulties, thank you for having
Oh
me.
my goodness. First I was on, but like it wasn't working, so I had to log off, and then I tried to reboot my computer. It's still currently rebooting. It's been what, like 15 minutes? Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's just stuck on the front screen.
Yeah, Mercury.
Exactly.
I
We're
blame
just blaming that.
Mercury.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about who Sue is.
Let's see. I have ADHD, which is sort of basically my whole thing these days, and has been actually most of my life. And I'm an author and an ADHD coach. And have this absolute passion in my life to help people with ADHD be less impacted by it and create lives for themselves that are more friendly to their brain instead of trying to make their brain fit into the rest of the world.
I love how you say that actually. But we're gonna get back to that. You also have kitty cats.
And I do. I have three cats and two dogs.
So
Um,
cute.
yeah, it's a little bit of menagerie over here. Actually they're not in my office right now. They're usually here. They're my little shadows, especially one of them. But I guess it's too early for them right now.
So where are you visiting us from?
Portland, Oregon. So it is 6:18 right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a little early. I
So if I feel, if I stumble around a little bit, that may be. I'll blame that.
I like
And
and Mercury.
Mercury or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah,
Definitely Mercury.
right.
So when were you diagnosed with ADHD?
I was diagnosed a really long time ago, back in 1988, when I was 16 years old, and girls didn't get diagnosed with ADHD
That's what I
then.
was wondering.
I mean,
I wondered if it was a late. I mean, that is a bit later than you want,
right. It's
but I wasn't sure if it was like an adult one or what.
No, I got diagnosed at 16 after, I guess, sort of failing through school for my entire career. And there was a last ditch effort for my a school that I was in at the time to try and get me into a program that worked better for me. But yeah, and it would have been great. But, at the time, people just didn't believe.
Yeah.
Like, girls got ADHD, so despite my diagnosis, nobody did anything differently for me. And I was 16, and I was already jaded and on my way out anyway. So, yeah, so I dropped out of school and made my way that way instead because, yeah, it was just not considered something that girls got, and everybody was like, "Well, you couldn't possibly have ADHD."
Right? Exactly. Especially way back then. Uh, so how did you finally get diagnosed though? Because obviously you struggle with it your whole life, not just when you're 16.
Yeah, yeah. So it did. So it was officially diagnosed, and but I didn't pay attention to it basically because nobody else was paying attention to it, and so I tried again to get diagnosed. I went to college after getting my GED, and I tried again to get diagnosed in my second college, and was told straight out that if I can read a book all the way through, then I couldn't possibly have ADHD
Oh,
because I could focus on that.
that is the best like standard. Oh, you can read a book. It's fine. It's fine.
Right, right, yeah, because ADHD has, people with ADHD couldn't even possibly read a book. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Right? No, never. Just like
Uh-huh.
people with depression, if you're smiling, that's not a thing. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. So that was really annoying. But I still had in my heart that I knew I had ADHD, and so But I continued to ignore it until I was 36. I had my first kiddo, and then I absolutely had to do something. Then my life was, I just couldn't function at all. So finally, a nurse practitioner listened to me, and she diagnosed me for the third time, or well, I guess the second, because the second time didn't work, with ADHD, and put me on medication.
Okay.
So finally, when I was 36, 20 years after my first diagnosis, was I treated for ADHD.
That is a long time to go diagnosed and untreated when you want to be treated.
Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
people are like,
Yeah.
oh, I have something, but I don't want to deal with it. But when you're asking for help and they're not providing the help, that is frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. And in the in between times I was really just sort of whatever. I'm just, at least I knew, and I had that knowledge about myself, and I didn't but that's one of the things that if you're really seeking treatment, which is medication, they're the only treatment that they really give you in the US. When you're really seeking, then they think you're drug seeking, right? Because it's a controlled substance. So you actually, it's really difficult to be like, actually, no, I know I have ADHD, but I really need to be treated for it. You can't like go shopping for a doctor who's gonna. Well, you can, but it's there's a stigma to it. If you go shopping for a doctor that is gonna diagnose you, because they think you're seeking drugs.
Right? And that's hard all on its own, is dealing with the stigma of all that, for sure. So during those 20 years, how were you handling it? Were you doing anything special? Like, because also at the time, you were saying, that was in the 80s. There wasn't the internet to just pop online and, hey, what are some strategies for ADHD?
Yeah, I wasn't. I was just, powering through, I guess. Which a lot of us think, and I've found differently now, but a lot of people think ADHD isn't that serious. A lot of people just think, well, you just have to ignore it and just do it. It's just an excuse. It's just whatever. It's not anything serious. And so I kept on just going, and I went to 5 different colleges, trying to seek. I was doing okay, but I self-medicated, and there was risky behavior, and there was a lot of things on the side. But I generally was doing okay, and so I was not totally failing out of college. I was seeking something, and so I finally found a degree that I agreed with, because one of the things about my ADHD makes me a seeker of justice and rightness, and I think that's actually really common in neurodiverse, the neurodivergent people, that we seek the correct answer, and we seek change, and we seek justice. And so after my school experience, I really wanted to go into an education department in a way that was going to change how things were done. I never found it. 5 schools, didn't find anything, and so I created my own major finally, and I got a degree in outdoor education for social change.
Cool.
Yeah, so I just kept on sort of making my own way through things, and finally got that, and then started working with the teenage kids that I wanted to work with. I wanted to work with teenage girls, and specifically, and teenagers eat me alive. So I left that career in about 2 weeks, and had a series of various other careers. And when I had my kiddo, I was an entrepreneur. I ran my own sustainable landscaping company. And so that's what I was doing at that time, when I finally got re-diagnosed, and my life was in shambles.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Isn't it amazing though, when we want something, we think we want something, and then you get it and you're like, oh no, this is actually not what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of funny. It's pretty disappointing when it happens,
Right?
especially if you've gone through 10 years of college to try and get there.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Because, yeah, I went to school for like, it was called Community and Justice Services, but I was in the social work field, and no. Because you think you have this grandiose idea that you're gonna help people. You're actually gonna make a difference, and you're actually gonna help people, and it's a great feeling. You want to do it, and then at least in my situation, then there's all this red tape. Oh, and if you want to keep your job and you want to keep your funding, then you have to do this, but that doesn't actually help the people, and you're like, wait a minute. So we're just on paper helping people, but we're not really helping people. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad. I worked in community mental health for a little while too, on the back end. But yeah, it's a sad world, and I just think the same for social services as it is for education. It's like the bureaucracy has taken over to a point where, and I see the reasons for it in a lot of ways, but it's taken over to a point where people just left and right are getting left behind, and it's really sad. So I hear that struggle for you.
Yeah, as long as it looks good on the piece of paper that the government can submit, they don't care. So it's very
Right.
sad. Okay, so you say your life is in shambles. I mean, you don't have to tell us all the shambles, but what were some of the major struggles that was happening?
Yeah, I was. We were broke. I always, sustainable landscaping isn't the most profitable business. You're trying to actually basically get people not to do all the yard work and to have like more fields and meadows and doing less sort of really manicured stuff. And though a lot of people really loved that idea, the end result is that your house doesn't look traditional anymore, and therefore the value drops. And so that wouldn't didn't work either.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so we were totally broke, and and it's not entirely true about sustainable. I don't want to turn people off about sustainable landscaping, but um,
It's good. You just have to be outside of the box thinking.
yes, exactly, which is what my whole life has been about. My marriage was definitely rocky. I I was angry. I was so angry all the time, and I was yelling, and my kiddo was not. I just felt really terrible about. I mean, I was a good mom, but I just had a hair trigger, and I was just. Life felt really hard. I just always felt I was just too stressed out. I couldn't get what I needed to get done. My house was a mess. My kiddo was cared for, but and well, but everything else around me was awful. And I just couldn't do it alone anymore. So I went to the doctor, my nurse practitioner, and she was like, I said, well, I think I have ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was 16, and she was like, well, take this survey. And I take the survey, and I'm of course off the charts, because I've always been off the charts ADHD. I just happened to be able to have whatever it takes to just sort of bulldoze through things. And she was like, yes, let's get you on some medication. Yeah, and that was lovely. And medication can really help, and I'm one of the lucky ones that it does help. It helps about 80% of people who have ADHD are really can improve their symptoms with medication. So yeah, so it can be a really useful tool. But the thing about Western medicine is that you find one tool that helps a little bit, and then they're like, okay.
Right? Ah, you're cured. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, you're all done. Yeah, you don't need anything else. Like, what if the medication stops working? Oh, I don't know. Just maybe take more of it.
Right? And then
Or
you're just getting used to it. Take more.
yeah. But what happens in the other, like, because it only works for 6 hours out of the day, especially if you have ADHD and have a hard time remembering later doses in the day. It only works. So what about the other 18 hours of the day? Oh, you're fine. Like, what about the weekends? Because they used to say that, like, don't take your medication on the weekends. Like, oh, you don't need to function on the weekends, do you?
Right?
It's
They
fine.
only that's the thing. They only want to band-aid you enough to get through school, making it easier for the
Yes.
teachers, and not
Hmm.
actually help you be successful all the time.
Right, yeah. So a working mom with a business and a husband doesn't need to function outside of, the 6 hours that she's supposed to be a productive member of society.
Exactly. It's very frustrating, but that's why it's important for people to talk about it.
Exactly.
So after, that's too many questions in my head all at once. When you started on the medication, were you one of the lucky few that only had to try one kind before you found something that worked, or did you have to try more than one?
Yeah, actually, methylphenidate, which is Ritalin, it just worked for me, and it still works for me. And I've been on the same medication for. I've added a few things to help out on the side here and there, but it has been the one medication that has always just worked for me. It calms my brain down. I remember it doesn't do it quite to the extent as it used to, but I remember I used to start when I used to take it at the beginning, and it's just like. Whoosh, and my brain was quiet and life was like I can think, I can move through my day. I don't have like 500 million things in my brain all trying to get my attention at the same time, and everything outside of my head too.
Right.
So like just the ability to just zoom, it like everything just was all of a sudden quiet.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I mean, sometimes you're not as lucky. Sometimes it takes more than one type. But you know
Mm-hmm.
what, guys? Just throwing it out there for everyone listening. It's important not to give up. It is hard,
Absolutely.
but don't give up.
Yeah, there are many different medications out there, and as I said, I've tossed in a few others that help me with some other symptoms that I never actually even realized were part of ADHD until later. So I take some stuff for anti-anxiety and things like that that also really help me sort of move through my day in other ways. Um, and it's also not just all about a medication. So, there's the trial and error part of like find the medication that works for you. And some people do well with stimulants, some people don't do well with stimulants, some people do well with some of these other anti-anxiety type medications or Wellbutrin. But it's all a trial and error process. And then there's all this other stuff that you can do too that helps a lot, and some of it almost as much as medication in general. So that's another whole aspect of ADHD. It's treatment, it's management. I don't know. It's not treatment. We're not getting better, right? So
Right.
we're managing our ADHD and creating lives that work for our ADHD.
Right. So, what are some of those things? What are some of those other strategies?
Yeah, so I think the most effective, scientifically, what they've found the most effective things are exercising in the morning.
Specifically in the morning.
Specifically in the morning, because that's when society thinks that we are supposed to be getting up and being productive. I think so that's what they say. Exercise in the morning, but if your energy levels are low in the morning and you actually are better at being productive in the evening, then exercise in the afternoon.
Right.
It's sort of before your productive time. The studies just, they only look at a standard 9 to 5 kind of lifestyle. And that's the problem with the studies in general. Like for a long time, the only treatment for ADHD was medication because that's all they studied,
Yeah.
right? So it depends on what people are studying at the time. But exercise really, really, really helps. There's two parts of our brain that are mostly affected by ADHD. There's the prefrontal cortex and the corpus callosum. And so the corpus callosum is sort of our old brain. I guess I'm not really good at
That's
brain work,
okay.
but
That's okay.
yeah. But anyway, it's where our sort of balance and coordination comes through. And amazingly, doing a balance board or doing something that requires balance even if you don't get your heart rate up, even if you don't, do some muscle work, just figuring out how to balance for 5 minutes in the morning makes a huge difference. It's just so weird.
Huh. See, lots of people on the show say exercise, right? But balancing, that's a new one. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and it really helps kids too. So if you have a kid with ADHD and you can get them to stand on a balance board for 5 minutes in the morning, it can really impact their day positively.
I'm gonna have to try that with my kid.
Yeah. Getting kids to do something that you ask them to do is a whole nother story. I have a 17-year-old. My time is lost now.
Yeah, yeah.
I
She's
don't get to
18.
ask him to do things
She's
anymore.
18, but she still sometimes listens.
Yeah, I have hope that they start listening more again, over time a little bit.
They do. Well,
I don't know if I've given my parents
my,
that.
my 21 year
Yeah.
old definitely listens a little bit more than she did as a teenager, so it's possible.
Yeah. All right. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Exactly.
It's like, no, I have more to tell
Right?
you.
You just have to be open to listening. Yeah, yeah. I think as they get older, they go, "Oh, my parents were telling me the truth about being an adult. Oh, this is not as easy as it looks." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We know things. Listen.
Yeah, we've been through
Yeah.
that.
So, what's your favorite strategy?
Um, my favorite strategy is not a single thing. My favorite strategy is first accepting that you have ADHD, and then designing, and that it affects you and it's impactful, and then designing a life that's friendly to you and your ADHD, and that includes being kind to yourself. That's like first and foremost. And a lot of people are like, well, I've gotten this far by beating myself into submission, by being my most toxic boss, by actually being really mean to myself so I could get this stuff done. And if I don't, then I can't get the stuff done. How do I do that? It's a process. But first, learn how to be kind to yourself and accept where you are. And then start working on, like, how do you create a life that that works for your brain? Because ADHD, when we're allowed to have our weird, wonderful brains do the things that our brains want to do, which are often creative, problem solving, energetic, often. It's like all these things that society actually says that they appreciate in humans, and they certainly do appreciate that in when ADHD becomes successful,
Yeah.
like Albert Einstein or Phil Knight, the Nike founder, or Bill Gates or Richard Branson, then they get celebrated, right? But until you're successful, then you're just a problem. So learning how to actually allow our brains to function at their ideal place, then it's amazing what we can do.
For sure.
If we have our support and we're supporting ourselves and just understand how amazing we are.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, speaking of supporting ourselves and all of our amazingness, you have this super cool book.
Yeah,
Get over there.
right over here. All right. It's called ADHD Brilliance, a journey into your extraordinary brain. Because our brains are extraordinary. They think that there's a lot of research coming out that they're thinking ADHD might be an evolutionary adaptation, and that actually when we were hunter-gatherers and there was a drought or food dried up or the animals moved away, whatever, then it was the people with ADHD and people who were neurodivergent who were like, actually, this is, so recognize the problem. This is a problem. There may be a solution to this problem. Let's go look over here. And so it was the ADHDers, the risk takers, the problem solvers, the ones that are willing to sort of think outside the box that actually made it so that hunter-gatherer societies like could thrive because they would just move to the next place, or and that would, so this is a little bit of a side note, but so many people think that, and yeah, I have ADHD, so I often go in all sorts of fun circles, but it is, some people think that it is only a disability, and it makes me so sad. It is absolutely a disability in our current society. The way we treat it, it is absolutely a disability, and it is such a brilliance as well. It is so, our brains are wired in just ways that make us able to do fantastic things if we're interested in it, if we're grounded, if we have the spoons, I guess, if the rest of our life isn't taking up everything we've got, our brains can really thrive and do amazing things. And so that's what my book is all about, is like, how do you create a life that allows that? And it's not easy work, but it's based on my coaching system, which is my biggest coaching program, which is sort of a 10-session program that brings you through. So what are your strengths? What are your passions? How do you focus on the passion? Because often we are multi-passionate people, and we want to focus on 30 passions. Well, actually, can we narrow it down to 1 or 2 for right now and put the others on the back burner? Because if we're focusing on 30 things, we don't get anything done on those 30 things. If we focus on 2 things, then we can usually actually make some progress in it. So strengths, passions, what do you want to do? How are you going to, how are you going to live your life in that way? And then what are your needs, and what supports do you need to actually really move forward into your favorite place? So that's what it's all about. It's about basically finding your favorite place in life.
That's fantastic. Now, I haven't had a chance to actually read the book yet, but I love getting hard copies of books too, because then I like to look at them, look what they're all pretty looking like. And I'm really excited to read the book because it's more than a book, right? Like, it's a workbook. You have exercises, and what I noticed is the font is big enough I can read it. Easily read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ADHDers have a lot of co-occurring things often. So we are often dysgraphic. We often have either dysgraphia, dyslexia, or dyscalculia, and that makes reading print, somewhat difficult. So, and we don't have always the longest attention span. So I made it pretty.
Yeah.
So there's illustrations. There's big like quotes. Like, actually really pay attention to this. It's broken up a lot. It's in a larger font. It's the book is 8.5 by 11, so it's a big book. That allows you to sort of have some space in there. The letters aren't crammed all together, so it's actually written in. It's not quite what they would consider a large print book, but it's written in a way that is really accessible to a lot of ADHD brains.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. And everybody, of course, pay attention, because I will be writing a review, so you'll have to read that when it comes out, or listen to it on the podcast version. A little self promotion there. Where do people get the book?
Right now, finally, you can get it anywhere. So you can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Barnes & Nobles, you can get it on bookshop.org, I think. Basically, you can get it anywhere. You can walk into your local bookstore, and this is my favorite way to get it, is to tell people, like, walk into your favorite bookstore and ask them for it. and they'll order it for you, and it'll come in, and then you'll have it, and you've supported your local independent bookstore as well. So it took a long time to get there. Apparently, there are rules around publishing and distributing books that I didn't understand. Not rules, but there are ways to do things where it works better than other ways. And so I try to do it my own way because that's what I do. And then I realized I actually needed to follow the sort of prescribed method.
Yeah.
So 6 months in, it's finally available everywhere.
Yay! That's a pretty good feat. Only 6 months.
Yeah. Well, it probably could have been had I tried to avoid Amazon, and apparently you just really can't.
Yeah, but you know what? And I know so many people are like, "Oh, Amazon, you're only helping the big." But all of us indie authors, we're on there, so it's not the worst thing. It makes being an indie author easier. We don't have to
Yeah.
carry inventory and stuff because that's hard to do and do all the shipping yourself and all that. So, it's
Absolutely.
not the devil. It just you
Yeah.
can choose, I suppose.
Yeah, and it is. You're right. There are very good things about the Amazon empire. Just is a little bit hard to swallow sometimes. But not being able to do something without them is feels a little bit
It
hard to swallow.
Yeah, they kind of have a bit of a monopoly on things, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's where we're at in this day and age.
seems to be. Yes, for sure.
So,
So.
where do people follow you?
I'm all over the place because ADHD. I will give you all the links, all my links, but my main place is pathwaysforwardcoaching.com. My email is just sue@pathwaysforward, so feel free just to send me an email. I'm on Substack, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, all with various links. And then I'm also on Meetup. I do free ADHD group coaching on Thursdays, every other Thursdays in the summertime and every Thursday in the rest of the year. And that's a really fun way to sort of get into some community with some other ADHDers, which can be really powerful. And then, I have body doubling on Fridays, which is free as well. So all over the place, but I think you can find everything except for my meetup from my website. And I'll figure out the meetup somehow, someday.
Yeah, right. One step at a time. It's fine.
Right.
Awesome. Do you have anything else that you want to share before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I appreciate all your flexibility and dealing with your tech issues, and so that we could still have this conversation. I have enjoyed it very much.
Thank you, and thank you
So
so much
thank you.
for joining us. If you have not already hit the like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so you never miss an episode. But also share, right? Share the episodes out. It's more important actually to share. I mean, I want subscribers because then it puts my numbers up, but really sharing it out is the key here. We want to talk about it. We want to spread the message. It's super important. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly.